just got to push this one button. Sandra, can you hear me? Sandra. Sandra, can you hear me? She said no. Sandra, can you hear me now?
It's fun to do like those research things because
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our regular council meeting for February 20th, 2024. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional territories and the oral practices of the Blackfoot Nation, which include the Siksika, the Kainai, and the Piikani. We also acknowledge the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda First Nations, the Métis Nation District 4, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. We're making this acknowledgement to demonstrate our continuing efforts to work together as we strive for reconciliation through increased and collective learning. Okay, we'll start off with a staff introduction. I believe, Randy, you're up here.
Yeah, thank you. So I'd like to introduce you all to Monty Willis, who's over to my left here. Monty started with us as the recreation foreman on February 5th. He comes to us with a whole variety of experience in the marine, forestry, hospitality, and construction industries. He also recently held the position as Parks and Recreation Supervisor in the town of Rosetown, Saskatchewan. So he enjoys all kinds of sports, including hockey. He cheers for the Vancouver Canucks, so we won't hold that against him. But also
Better
enjoys...
than the Edmonton Oilers, Randy.
Is it? Also enjoys outdoor pursuits like hunting and fishing, as well as working on his vehicles, and we're very happy to have him on board.
Okay, welcome, Monty. Okay, moved by Councillor Jessica that the agenda be adopted. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Goodenough that the minutes from the regular council meeting held February 5th, 2024 be approved. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Idris that the January 2024 RCMP report be accepted as information. Good afternoon, guys. How are you doing?
Good, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Council. So this report covers off the month of January 2024. That month, we responded to 333 municipal calls for service. A total of 30 prisoners were lodged in cells, and 136 criminal record checks were completed. 65 violation tickets were issued. Some miscellaneous investigations from January. We issued 14 provincial sanctions for impaired driving, and that's including the city and the county. On January 2nd at 3:15 a.m., we responded to a complaint of an assault in Greenbrook. We arrived on scene and learned that a 31-year-old male attacked a 34-year-old male with a chain. The suspect fled prior to our arrival, but we were later able to locate and arrest him, and the victim was transported to the hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. On January 2nd at 4:50 p.m., we responded to a collision at the intersection of Castles Road and First Street West. As a SUV struck a 74-year-old male. The male was transported to the hospital with minor injuries. From January 8th to the 12th, we participated in Operation Cold Start. It's funny because usually we do it earlier in the year, but we had to wait for the cold weather this year. Anyone that doesn't know, Operation Cold Start is a province-wide initiative done by most police agencies where we increase awareness of thefts of motor vehicles during the cold winter months. We checked 105 vehicles that were running with no one in them, and 50 of those vehicles were located with the keys left inside, unattended. On January 24th, 2:50 p.m., we responded to a assistance call from the sheriffs at the Brooks Courthouse after a male escaped their custody. Male was quickly apprehended after a brief foot chase and brought back to the sheriffs. The Christ the King and St. Joseph schools were put on a temporary hold and secure, just given their close proximity to the courthouse. And that is my report for the month of January. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Jessica.
Well, it's kind of nice to see, usually we're talking about a crime wave, but from the statistics, looks like a law-abiding wave has broken out in Brooks, so hopefully that's a trend. Last year about this time, I was provided with a statistical summary of Brooks compared to a number of other communities, and I just, if you wouldn't mind updating that, and I'd like to follow what's happening in the province and see how we compare, that'd be great.
Absolutely, I can do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, when you look at the stats, it's kind of nice to see, like, for the most part, everything is down considerably there too. Maybe the cold weather kind of helped that too, or your diligent work, one of the two there. I think maybe a combination of both of it there too. And just want to say our compliments to you guys there too for how the upland situation was handled too. We talked with Constable Schmidt there with our communication person there, just to kind of go over the protocol on making sure, you know, that the correct message is put out there, because it is, it can be, I guess, scary for parents in situations like that there too. So it's nice to get the right information out at the right time on that. And it's evolving quick, so it has to happen really quick. We have to get it out there before social media steals the narrative and it takes it one way which we don't want. So thanks for your efforts in getting that there too. And Jordan was at that meeting there too. So yeah, we got things worked out for the future here too. So
For sure, yeah. We're always we're hoping to get as much information that we could release out as quickly as possible, but I would agree there's always room for improvement. So
yeah. These things come up and you learn from them and you improve every time something like that happens. It doesn't happen that often in the community there too, but yeah, so yeah. Okay, any other questions? Councillor Wardrop.
Actually, just to follow up on Mayor Petrie's last comments, is there any other information that you'd like to just share with us and the public at this time, and that any messages that you weren't able to get out about the Uplands incident that people should know?
I'll let Corporal Schmidt take that if you'd like.
We essentially we let out as much as we could at the time when we're on scene like that. We were like on scene doing those updates as quickly as can, just because of the gravity of the situation with the proximity to the school and having the students removed. It was kind of like an unprecedented thing that doesn't normally happen. So we were trying to get out as much as we can, probably more than we'd share normally on an incident like that. But it was to try and, you know, meet the concerns of all the parents and stuff like that, because you're not talking 300 children, you're now talking, you know, 600-700 parents and all coming down and worrying, and then that complicates the scene. So we were able to do that because we were able to get a handle on the scene. As far as the information going forward, you know, has been some concerns about, you know, when the persons are released from custody and stuff, and you know, and the police releasing them. Those are court decisions that were made. We make a lot of requests when we have somebody, especially with an incident so concerning to the public like that, and we bring them into our cells and they go to a judicial interim release hearing. the courts, sought their path for release. So we're ongoing with that residence and doing follow-ups with that person as well to make sure that, this kind of thing doesn't happen again. And, making sure they abide by their release conditions and that sort of stuff to make it as safe as we can for that neighborhood. So, and just kudos to the citizens within Brooks for, following those messages and helping us out by staying out of the area, and the job that Grasslands did, with the children and our SROs on that one was just top notch.
Thank you. So I did have a couple questions. The first one was the pedestrian, the incident where the pedestrian was struck on Castles and First. Is that the space? Is that the spot that has the lighted crosswalk?
It is, yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
And was the crosswalk lit up and everything?
As
or-
far as I know, it was.
Oh, okay.
Lit up at the time, so.
I was just curious about that, yeah, because it seems like there's lots of people that cross, and it's
For sure.
sometimes people are looking, sometimes people aren't.
Yeah, I think this particular case, the vehicle was making a right-hand turn onto Castles at the time.
And then I was also curious about the calls that you get at the to go to the JBS Canada Centre. So I was wondering if you could speak to that. Are there trends there that you're seeing? The nature of the calls, are they things that I guess I'm looking for information at this point. Just the continuation of incidents that continue to happen there are concerning, and hoping to find some solutions, so the more information, the better.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we've had a flurry of different things going on there, whether it be, vaping in the bathroom or fights, people lingering that are unwanted there. And, we've worked with the JBS Center over the last year to try to resolve some of those issues. And as far as I'm aware, it seems like that's slowed down. Joe? you have
Yeah,
anything
the
to-
call volume there has slowed down. There was a bit of a rash where it was like stolen property, like somebody leaving a phone, stolen shoes, that sort of stuff. We'll get the odd call like that. I think there was a few issues with as far as like little assaults between youth and that sort of thing. I think our school resource officers got quite engaged from the schools knowing who they are, and that's really dispelled itself, excuse me, so far this year. As far as those incidents, you're always gonna get the one-off, here and there's, but we've had, I believe 2 kind of safety protocol hearings at the JBS, and that's kind of advised the staff of what to phone us on, maybe something they can handle themselves. And I don't know if it's so much of the staff being able to control what's there and like kind of better management training that's been really going on there that's helped it, or if the calls have just dropped. But we know even through our proactive patrols through there, we've noticed a lessened degree of any calls really for service there. It's been quite good, so.
I was really impressed, I guess it was probably a month ago now, after Corporal Schmidt and Corporal McCready gave a presentation on human trafficking, and I think it was the very next day, the staff at the JBS Center had phoned us. They were concerned, I think based off of what they learned the day before, that someone might have been being trafficked. And I don't think they were in the end, but still, like, good on them for recognizing like the signs that we pointed out, so.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
have a good afternoon.
You too.
Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Wardrop that the Brooks Bandits May-June ice request be accepted as information. Okay, who's speaking for the Bandits there? Nathan? Oh, just so everybody knows you, Nathan Crosby, Paul Seaton, and Murray Hulk. I introduced you. Okay, Nathan, go ahead. Is the light on?
Sorry, it's been a
Yeah, you're an old radio guy. You should know that.
it's been a while since I've been in here. Sorry, but thank you again for having us today. We'll try and keep it short. The Bandits are excited for the potential of another deep playoff run in 2024. We have the unique circumstance of playing against the 4 best teams in Alberta for a chance to compete against the winner of the BCHL Championship in an Alberta versus BC series. With this comes the possibility of playing highly competitive hockey to the end of May, possibly even into early June. Playoff series would feature 2 final teams in Alberta that commences with Game 1 on Friday, May 10th. There's a strong possibility that the Bandits will be the #1 seed. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but we're certainly off to a good start in this BC schedule. There is another event scheduled at the Centennial Regional Arena the weekend of May 11th and 12th that will see the ice removed. We are asking for the ice to be reinstalled following the event and in time to host games 3, 4, and 5 at the CRA starting Friday, May 17th. The series would start May 10th, even as the high seed and with home ice advantage, we would be required to concede home ice advantage for games 1 and 2 to the other team to accommodate the event at the CRA. We acknowledge that this is a small window to have the ice ready for May 17th, factoring in time, staff, cost. We also believe strongly that finishing the season on CRA ice is in the best interest of the teams, the fans, our sponsors, and the community. We're also committed to our players who have once again risen to the challenge of being the #1 team again and certainly deserve to compete in front of our fans. As a community-owned team, the Bandits are committed to giving our season ticket holders, fans, sponsors the best entertainment for Brooks and the County of Newell. This also means following through with our commitment of games so both fans and sponsors receive their full value for their investment in us. The excitement surrounding the potential playoff series and Alberta versus BC final would draw interest from the hockey world, media, and just overall attention to the city, and provide an economic boost to restaurants, hotels, gas stations, retail, and bring many visitors to our city. Bandits thank the city for our strong partnership and giving us the opportunity to speak to council today. We look forward to continuing to provide sports fans in Brooks and the County of Newell with championship level hockey and affordable entertainment while representing our community on the national stage.
Okay, thanks. Just the series that you could potentially play on the 10th and the 11th, would that be the interprovincial one with BC, or am I going too far ahead here now?
That would be the Alberta final.
That'd be the Alberta final then?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna, there was, I think Randy had given you a proposal there. Are you happy with that proposal there? And it will come up later in council here too, eh?
So we are looking for hosting Game 3 on Friday, May 17th. Randy's proposal of the 19th would be a big gap between Games 2 and 3.
Yeah, I don't know if I can bring Randy up here or Todd or whatever, somebody, because we have to take out the ice for the PVR event. And just to give people background on that, normally you guys would be finished your season like in the old system there, and you would be off to the Centennial Cup. But with the changes, whatever, and this PVR event was booked well in advance, probably 10 months in advance or something like that. Eh? So we don't want to disturb them. They sort of, they sort of have a right to it. But the question is, can we get the ice back in by the 17th? I don't know. I'll pose that question to either Randy or Todd on that, or we could talk about it. Let's talk about it now here, then we can talk about it later then. So.
Yeah, through the chair to Mayor Petrie. So that timeline that is in the report submitted as part of the council agenda package is pretty tight already. We discussed what could be done to try to get ice in for May 17th, and just given the steps required in the ice making process, as well as the fact that we have bull riding in the arena leading right up to that event, and that we know that there's going to be a lot of dirt on the floor, dirt on the boards, and #1 rule prior to ice making is to make sure your slab is clean. And so we would need to make sure that the boards and the glass, the ice concrete pad is completely clean and free of any of that dirt prior to turning on the ice plant again and starting to build the ice. So it's pretty tight as it is, and best case scenario that we could come up with the resources as presented in that proposal is that it would be ready for the afternoon/evening of May 19th.
Which would be the Sunday. It is a long weekend there. You could go Sunday, Monday.
Yeah, the problem
Well,
is,
you could. I mean, yeah. I mean, no, it is, yeah.
the problem is the series, I'm on, yes. Problem is the series finishes on the 25th. And I think the BCHL insists that there's 2 days in between each game. So there's games 1 and 2, then should be 2 days. So games 3 and 4 should actually be on Tuesday and Wednesday, the 14th, 15th. And then and then the next game would be on the Saturday, the 18th, and then there'd be 2 days off. That's assuming games 5 and 6 and 7 are needed, but we wouldn't be able to finish the series by the 25th.
Yeah. I don't know what other solution we have for this here. That's the only one I can think of there, but not unless you have another solution there, yeah. Or if somebody has a solution to this.
Through the chair to Mayor Petrie, without disrupting other bookings or not following through with those commitments or those agreements, I don't think that there is another way to do it. So without bumping those other bookings in May, the timeline to build the ice, like it says in the proposal, it can't be rushed. We need the time to build the ice properly and for the safety of the users, the players using the ice. So yeah, with the staffing and the resources we have at that time and the magnitude of the event prior to the ice being reinstalled, the 19th is the best timeline we could do if we uphold those existing bookings.
Have you talked to the organizers from the PVR about the venue? Or to either any one of you three there too, yeah.
No. No, I mean, we don't want to disrupt anything that's booked.
No, yeah, and I know, and that's the challenge, because by the time we take the ice out and put it back in, and administration says we can't get it going until the 19th,
Yeah, I
because they
think
have to take it out, and I mean, you guys have been around the arena all your life, like it takes a while, and you got to put the logos back on and do all that, in a short window, yeah.
We were just hoping that window could be shortened. I have spoken to two arenas that have done this more than once, Yorkton and Red Deer, and their timeline was a day with the right manpower, a day to get the dirt out, cleaned and ready for the ice, and then 4 days to put the ice, the lines, the decals and everything in, and the ice built up to the level required. And I'm not so sure that's in line with Randy's timeline.
Go ahead, Randy.
So the timeline as in the proposal basically leaves a day to clean the boards and the ice pad. Then the ice plant would be turned on once the pad is cleaned. Takes about 24 hours for that ice pad to cool down and be ready for the initial seal coats. 2 days for seal coats, white ice, and installation of lines and logos. And then 2 days for actually building up the thickness of the ice with hose floods, and then followed by machine floods.
Councillor Goodenough.
Just for Randy, their booking ends on Sunday the 12th. Is their whole rodeo show over that day, or are they cleaning up on that day? Just for clarification.
Through the chair to Councillor Goodenough. We're still waiting on details actually from the organizers of that event to know exactly what the timeline is for cleaning up and removal of the dirt. Right. My understanding is that they should be starting to take the dirt out that day, but there's still going to be a lot of cleanup required on the floor and the boards and even the stands post-event. So more than what would usually be required even for like a typical ice installation as it would occur in August or September.
Just correct me if I'm wrong on this. Have we done an event like the PBR inside our arena before?
No, we have not. This is
So
the
this
first
is a
time.
new
Yes,
event.
that's correct.
I'd like to just get more information. I know we're not making a motion at this time, but I think we need to have more information on the PBR event. Maybe they're done Saturday evening.
Yeah,
And-
and you know, and I think the best way to handle this right now is to try to work maybe between you guys and Randy, and then come back to council there to work on a solution to this to see if, because I don't think you want to lose in that semifinal series to avoid this, eh? It's a joke. Turn on your mic there, yeah.
Just to talk to that, the Plan B is a horrifying prospect that we would have to book ice in Strathmore or Medicine Hat.
Yeah.
And we really don't want to do that, because that would mean that we would have to go, our volunteers would have to go and run an event in those arenas, and not many of our fans would even travel there, I don't think.
Okay, why don't I suggest to you guys there, I'll make a suggestion, then I'll get to you there, but if maybe between you and Randy, you talk to the group that's putting on the event, the PVR, but maybe there's a way, I don't know, is the event Friday and Saturday, right? Like the bull riding, I can't remember if it's 2 days or just 1 day on that there. And maybe there's a way to expedite that there too, or, what's that? Okay, go ahead, Randy, yeah.
Yeah, the event is the May 10th and 11th, from what
So
I understand.
Friday, Saturday,
Yeah,
yeah.
and so, again, I'm not sure of the details of what's happening. We've reached out to the organizers and just haven't had a response back from them about like what the timeline of their events are and what they're looking to do, even what they require as far as equipment and stuff like that. So we're trying to get that information from them so that we can kind of see what the plans are. I do know that they wouldn't be able to push it back any earlier, just because we do have bookings. The Bandits are running their spring camp until May 5th, and so the ice plant is actually scheduled to be turned off May 6th and the ice removed at that time.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor Woodruff?
Just a couple things. I would caution overextending ourselves and our staff for a new a new event. There's professional bull riders are coming from all over. It's like a new place, it's a new venue, it's a new event, and as we know, things don't often go exactly as planned. So I would be really hesitant about really pushing right down to the wire on the timing, in the case that things don't finish on time or there's difficulty getting all the dirt removed or whatever. The other thing that makes me a little bit nervous is I'm pretty sure our staff already are we're understaffed in a lot of areas already, and so the staffing is a concern that I would have, that we just wouldn't have the manpower to commit to making this go any faster, unless I'm mistaken. And maybe Randy, you could speak to that. Like, how much more could we speed the process up with more staff?
Through the chair to Councillor Wardrop. Well, we talked about, even like when we were looking at different options for this, is what if we had staff working overnight? What if we scheduled an additional shift to, do some of those hose floods and whatnot overnight? And what we would then run into is a situation where we're now creating essentially a new shift, and that shift has to come from somewhere. So we'd be pulling staff from, the JBS Canada Centre, for example. We would lose a shift during the day there, which means they would be short that day. So, and again, even starting in March and into April, we have 4 of our operators that actually go back to the Parks Department for the summer. So even with their proposal as it's presented, in order to make what it was proposed by administration to work, would require that we hold back 2 of those 60/40 operators from parks, which then would affect their operations in the spring as well. So they would basically lose 14 weeks of staff time in order to do this.
I'll go, okay, Councillor Wardrop, and then good enough, yeah.
So, because this is kind of an unconventional situation, we may have to find an unconventional solution. I guess my question is to the Bandits is, would you, is there another way that you'd be willing to provide extra staff, or I don't know if you could work with our recreation manager, if you could provide staff and work that overnight shift, like if provide somebody to work with our recreation management, maybe that's a solution. Otherwise, yeah, I don't know. We just don't have the people. Yeah, sorry, Randy. I think Randy.
Yeah, through the chair to Council Wardrop. So we actually discussed that as part of options for the Bandits to provide some of that help. There's some jobs that they probably could help with. There's some that they definitely would not be able to, and for a couple of reasons. First is safety, specialized equipment, skills and knowledge required for building the ice, that kind of thing. We also have our collective bargaining agreement that we have to uphold and make sure we're in alignment with, and building ice is considered a union employee's job. And so we have to make sure that we are respecting that agreement as well and not getting volunteers to do union work. So there was a couple of reasons why there's certain jobs that we wouldn't be able to get volunteers to do. Some of the other ones, such as like maybe help clean the stands or wipe, you know, because the stands are going to be dusty and stuff after the bull riding as well. Certainly we could get help from volunteers for something like that, but some of those other jobs we couldn't.
So would there be, would non-unionized staff be able to speed up the process?
Through the chair to Council Wardrop. To an extent, yes. We do have 2 casual staff that we can call to assist. We don't rely on them a whole lot when it comes to like the ice making and stuff like that. And again, they already have that training and the expertise, and would be working right alongside those the full-time union staff as well. So we have to be careful because there is a lot of equipment and whatnot involved with the ice making that we want to be careful with. So.
Councillor, good enough, I think, and then, yeah.
I enjoy the conversation. I think, though, we really have to just go back to the Bull Riding Canada, talk to them. Their website's not even up to date. They have no, do you know what I'm saying? Like, for a big event that they're bringing in, I would really encourage us get information from their side. Their Eventbrite's not updated. Their website's not updated. It says it still has last year's date at the Silver Sage. So I'm sure they're a great professional company, but I'd really want to, let's double check and talk with them and then bring this back.
Yeah, and they hosted the event at the Silver Sage last year too, didn't they? Yeah, the last.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I think the reasoning when they came and presented, they wanted to just get bigger, and
Yeah.
and which is exciting to hear. So.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Councillor Jessica.
Yeah, it looks really, from what Mr. Hook was saying there with what they said, I think he said about Red Deer and Yorkton, that their time schedule is essentially the same as what we're looking at here, so 5 days. So if you moved heaven and earth, it looks like the most you could possibly pick up would be 1 day. And that doesn't sound like it would solve anything.
So, yeah, I think what Councillor Goodenough says there too, not unless it was another, is maybe go back to the organizers of that event, and I'll let you guys, between you two parties, sort of look at that and see what you can kind of do with that there too. The other one, are we good with that? Are you guys good with that?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
thing I would like to add, though, is that we can provide any amount of manpower. When we run the Brent Kissel concert, I mean,
Yeah.
we had more volunteers than we needed once we asked.
Yeah, you know what,
So-
and that's an option there too, like, you know, maybe, let's talk to the organizers and maybe, you'll figure out a way to kind of, you know, work with them on that one there too, but maybe there is another way, and I know if moving out dirt, whatever, like the simple things, maybe volunteers can kind of, you know, help with that. I better be careful here. You don't know, no. Well, yeah. Well, no, but no, Randy's right. I mean, we have a union to think about here too, eh? So, you know, with that labor there too, whatever. We don't want to be crossing lines on that stuff.
Question
there,
here.
There too, whatever, yeah. So, yeah, Councillor Idris, yeah?
Just following up on Councillor Jessica's question, so based on the schedule we have here, how many days like he said we can get, maybe we can get a day. Would that fix the problem? It doesn't fix the problem, right?
If we expedite by a day, because when I look on the calendar, okay, we can't get in there on the 19th, or the 18th, but maybe the 19th, which would be the Sunday. And that's a long weekend there too.
I think it might hinge on whether or not they need Sunday. I'm not sure whether your unions would enable the dirt to be removed on a Sunday even, but if they didn't need Sunday, then Sunday the dirt could be removed and the and the surface prepared, ready for the lines and everything. And then you've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that's 4 days. Friday would be the 5th day. So if the dirt could come out on the Sunday and it'd be ready for ice on the Monday,
We'd still need just that Monday to have, or the Monday for the ice plant to be turned on is the only thing that we need, that surface to be cooled down before the ice building could actually start. So I think best case scenario is if it was cleaned off, if everything was bumped back a day and we gained a day, the ice would be ready by Saturday the 18th would be best case scenario. Again, very tight with a lot of unknowns with the bull riding and hoping that we would have enough hands on deck to get it cleaned up in time for the ice building to start too. So
So would that,
Councillor Idris, yeah.
that solve the problem?
Oh, yeah, Paul, just make sure your mic's on there. There, thank you.
sorry. It might do, but I don't think so because they insist on once you've got games 1 and 2, 3 and 4, we'd be doing 3 and 4 on Saturday and Sunday. Monday, Tuesday would be day off. Then game 5. Thursday, Friday off, game 6. I mean, hopefully they wouldn't need to be game 6, 5 and 6 and 7, but
6 would be on the road.
6 would be on the road here, wouldn't it? 5.
No, we'd have 5. We'd have 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, but we'd have to have 2 days in between. So Saturday, Sunday, 2 days in between, game 5. Game 6 would be on the road on the 25th, which is when this series is supposed to finish.
Yeah, anyway, did you have another question there, or? Go
I
ahead.
think he
Councillor.
clarified that.
Yeah.
Clear as mud. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
I think Councillor Goodenough had a plan there too, and go back to the PVR guys and see what they say, and then kind of work with Randy there to see what solution we can come up with on this here. So, does that work for you guys there? Yeah.
Yes, that will work.
Yeah, there is, and I know it was coming up in the council there. I don't know how much more we'll debate it, though, but there was a cost to you guys there. Are you comfortable with the cost of that?
I think we were hoping that with the economic impact of the series, and hopefully if we make that, if we succeed to win that series, the next series, council might be able to waive that charge.
The, we just had a big property tax increase, you know, and I know what the revenues that you guys get per game there too, you know, and again, if this is the final, it's gonna be packed in there, you know, and the 50/50s are gonna be quite high there too, but that's not my decision. Council, you know, we could certainly debate on it there, but I think there has to be a little give and take on your end there too with the money or the financial end of it there too, so.
Well, the answer to that will be yes, of course, if it comes to that. But
Yeah.
our finances are always very, very tight. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot when on a, you know, playoff game of that nature, we'll bring in maybe 30 or 40,000.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, that's how we survive.
No, yeah, no, and I know, yeah. Anyway, and maybe we'll have a solution to this anyway. So, I mean, we got a little time, not much, but it's gonna creep up pretty quick here too. So, but if you can work with Randy there, and then, she can communicate to council there on that there. Are we fine with that one then? Are we fine? Okay, are you good? Okay. We'll find a solution there, because, yeah, we're looking for a good playoff run here, so, yeah. Okay. Nothing else there? Go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Okay, to the motion that the Brooks Bandits made you an ice request be accepted as information, all those in favor, carry. Okay, it's 5:12 here. I got a public hearing I gotta take care of here, so I'd like to call this public hearing to order here. Hi, Gavin, how are you doing this afternoon? Okay, I don't know, can we hear you? Just talk again.
Yep, we're ready to roll. Yep.
I can't hear you there.
Are we good?
Oh, there, we're just about there.
All ready?
Is that our issue there, Bruce, or there is his issue? What's that? If you want to maybe leave the meeting and then rejoin, we'll give you a second here. Yeah. How long should I wait there? Should I just wait a few seconds here? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, how's that?
Okay, go ahead, talk.
Any better?
Still
Any
can't hear
better?
ya.
No?
Oh. Natasha, can you fill in? Can you hear us, Gavin?
Yes.
You can hear us, okay. Just make funny hand signals there if Natasha is going in an different way. Okay, call this public hearing to order. This is Land Use Bylaw Amendment, Bylaw number 2403, and explanation of the proposed bylaw. Natasha.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mayor and Council. Bylaw 2403 proposes to redesignate land at 77 Upland Boulevard West from residential single detached to residential high density. As per the requirements of the Municipal Government Act, a public hearing must be held prior to Council's decision on a bylaw to rezone land. At the time of writing this report, no public comments have been received in favor or in opposition to Bylaw 2403. The undeveloped property was subdivided in 2006 and included the Northwest Sector Area Structure Plan as a developed area with no specific policy governing the development. There is an adjacent single detached residence to the west of this location and another 2 lots to the east. The area is serviced with water and sewer on the south side of the lot in the alley. The alley separates this lot from the Walmart parking lot. The proposed rezoning complies with the following residential development objectives of Municipal Development Plan MDP Bylaw 1903. A mix of housing densities and tenure is encouraged in new residential developments in order that a variety of housing choices are available, and new development should complement and connect with the existing built-up areas of the city. This location is within walking distance of a school, shopping, and future parks and green space. These amenities make for good long-term success of a multi-unit residential project. So the next steps is the public hearing was advertised in accordance with the Municipal Government Act and the City of Brooks Land Use Bylaw. The decision of the proposed rezoning should be evaluated based on the suitability of the land, a policy for a mixture of housing needs, to measured against the reality of an area that has thus far been single-unit development. Recommendation is that Council consider the above before completing second and third reading of Bylaw 2403.
Okay, just to continue with the public hearing, then person speaking in favor of the proposed bylaw? I don't think there's anybody here, right? No. Person speaking in opposition or into the proposed bylaw? Anybody here on that? No? Okay, your final comments then, Natasha.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, and the bylaw comes up later on in council, so we can debate it at that point then too. Okay, I'm going to adjourn this hearing then at 5:17. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moved by Councillor Prentice that the Brooks Region Communities in Bloom presentation be accepted as information. Who's doing the presentation? Tom? Welcome back, Tom.
Mr. Mayor and councilors, Communities in Bloom would just like to express their thank you for this opportunity to address council about a couple of issues that we have identified as things that we as Communities in Bloom would like to pursue. As you know, the National Body of Communities in Bloom looks at a lot of things when they're judging a community, and we will have judges coming back probably in July. Don't have a specific date at this point, but beautification of the town and just improving the general aesthetics of the community is often part of what is looked at. About a month ago, yes, a letter was drafted and sent to council outlining some of the issues that we would like to pursue. And I understand at your urging, we're back here to make a formal presentation.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do tonight, on behalf of Communities in Bloom, is to address essentially what we consider to be an upgrading potential for the east entrance to the community along Castles Road. And I will also make a few comments as we get to the end of this presentation about some trees. It's our understanding, well, at least my personal understanding, and let me emphasize that, that over the years there's been discussion about upgrading this east entrance. Things like installing a RV rest site, dump station, just one example. As you all know, nothing has been accomplished in that respect. And so with this the presentation I'd like to make is to look at a couple of possibilities that we think are worth pursuing. First one I'm just going to call the solar light project. We would like to identify, or at least install, a solar floral display somewhere along the north side of Castles Road. Without offering you a specific suggestion as to that location, but the concept that it would be on the north side of the road so that people coming from the east, driving west along that road, would have the most visual impact by such a display. What we have thought about so far is that it would be something like a giant sunflower, and if you would have just, there we go. That's just a concept, okay? But we would light it up with solar-generated power. The giant sunflower may be established on an electrical light type pole or some other combination. And it will include a number of partners. This project is not going to go ahead without your approval, without your support and staff support to get it done. We're also talking to solar industry, the various solar suppliers of energy in our community, with the intent that we want to get them involved in at least supplying some of the equipment and perhaps financially contribute to its success as well. We would use a local designer. This does not pop up anywhere in anything that you can just go and buy off the shelf. So it needs to be designed, and of course it needs to be built. So I guess why we're here today is to seek your approval to proceed with the project. We have thought a lot about this project, but on the other hand, we have not taken any concrete steps simply because it needs your approval to go ahead. Suggesting, or at least wishing that you would approve this project would give us a formal opportunity to get started. We would look at locating the suitable spot. We begin on developing a formal design process and selecting local manufacturers. And it's our intent that this whole project would be done in cooperation with not only council, but with city staff to ensure that everybody's on the same page to get the thing done. We would also generate the process of finding the necessary funds to accomplish this project. We're going to look at the availability of grants and extra funding, like I said earlier, potentially from the solar industry, and potentially we may come back to City Council and say we need some help with, the final design or the final cost. Let me put that way. If the project goes ahead, we think that this would be a good site to develop further. Standalone sunflower is not going to be very impressive, but if there were some flower beds, as an example, or some other development, and one of the things that we've been looking at is the potential relocation of the 5 wind sculptures that exist in the community right now. It is our feeling that had the 5 structures been put together in one mass display, they would be far more effective than they are currently. Now, relocating is an option. Buying new ones is another option, but we know they're expensive, and we certainly don't have money at this point in a budget anywhere to buy new wind sculptures. But as I say, the potential is there that we might relocate them in a mass of 5 somewhere in the area where this sunflower eventually would be built. So I guess what we're asking for today is your consideration that we can go ahead with the beginnings to develop this project. And I want to re-emphasize that this is not a project that Communities in Bloom can accomplish on their own. First of all, we need authorization from your council group to proceed, and specifically where on the property along Castles Road such an installation could be put together. Second part of this project that I would like to emphasize today is some floral displays. And we're suggesting that the median on Castles Road, coming in from the east, is a prime location where we could add some significant floral impact for our community. We're suggesting, would encourage the city through its Parks Department to establish such a display at the east entrance by purchasing some large display pots, which would be planted and located on the Castles Road median. a lot of this is my personal projection here. In the last couple of years, I have driven through the community of Chestermere several times on their east-west prime transportation media, and they have done a fabulous job with these pots. It adds significantly to the beauty of their community. They're well-maintained. They have quite a number of them, and we're not suggesting that we have a pot every 10 feet, but, you know, to work on the development of a plan to put such floral displays on that median particularly, but then potentially also in other areas of the city. It would be my recommendation, or Communities in Bloom recommendation, that the Brooks Parks Department should contact this city, or I'm not sure, the town or city of Chestermere, for specific information about their medium floral planting program. Because, I mean, the plant material may well be different, but they obviously have a lot of experience in putting this kind of material together. I also drove through that community in late January, and they use these same pots to highlight some Christmas-type displays along the same medians. Now, I also heard that there's been some discussion at council and some concerns about safety and traffic and so forth. My comment to that would be, in what I've seen at Chestermere, that if people drive the posted speed limit along Castles Road, there should be no issues with safety to traffic in regard to these pots. They're very stable, and again, we just want to emphasize that this could be a tremendous addition to the east entrance in terms of its beautification. I also recognize, or we recognize, that these things are not going to happen. These two projects are not going to happen overnight. Will take some time, some planning, but we think that we really would seriously request council support so that we can get started. Last thing I want to mention, we talked about the last time I was here making this presentation a year ago or whenever it was, and it was in regard to trees along 2nd Avenue. The renovations that were going on with the sidewalks and so forth a year ago, we were assured that there would be trees planted by offering trees to the residents. As you all know, there have been no trees planted. And it's our suggestion that, first of all, that trees do get planted. And if the residents aren't prepared to do it, then we think the ball should be put back in the Parks Department's hands and get some trees planted along those landscapes. Thank you for your time, and I will try and answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thanks, Tom. You know what? I like. They're all good ideas. I think they're terrific ideas. I like the idea of the flower. I don't. I guess the sunflower stands out more than the dandelion. I like.
Okay.
I think the dandelion would be good. I'm just joking, but whatever. But I also like the idea of moving the kinetic wind sculptures over, because to create almost like a floral arrangement. Because we see the one at McDonald's is quite visible, but I know coming in from the west end, it's almost hidden there. And I know the other one by the Duke of Sutherland Park is also kind of blinded there too by the park itself. So I think moving them together, I think is a great idea. And the idea of the flower pots down the middle is really good. I've seen that in many communities. Chestermere, you're right on that one. I've seen them going through Olds. I've seen them up in Fort McMurray, you know, and it just adds something. And I like the idea of yours about in the wintertime using them, whether you put even a solar panel in there with Christmas lights or something like that for a light display. To me, it would be good. Now, that's my opinion on all that. And maybe Ray can even comment on the trees there too. And from what I understand, and you're right about the trees, we gave the residents a chance to plant the trees, but nobody came forward on on that there. But I'll let Ray talk a little bit more about trees here, so.
Yeah, so I did review the video of the meeting April 17th where we did discuss this, and it was pointed out that the city had moved the sidewalk up against the curb, so that did leave a green space of as much as 6 to 7 feet on property side of the sidewalk, and that would be adequate for some landscaping and some trees. So I would suggest that maybe the first thing might be to emphasize the offer of free trees to the property owners along that 2 or 3 blocks, and if we don't get a positive response that way, that the city should move ahead and look at options for putting something in there, whether it be strictly trees. We've got a bench that came away, was taken out from the heritage tree in the industrial park that could actually be put there with a couple of flower pots or something. But you know, looking down that street, especially from the east, it's pretty bare right now. And
Compared to what it was, yeah. Okay, any other questions? Councilor Goodenough.
Tom, I always appreciate your heart to beautify the city and communities in bloom. Again, I think from this council, just we appreciate your hard work and forward thinking. I'm curious, I like the kinetic windmill, or wind, it's not a windmill, is it? Sculpture. I'd rather see that than a sunflower. I'm just trying to think, what does sunflowers have to do with Brooks? But
See, that's why I was going with the dandelion.
well, that's true. Yeah,
Well,
dandelion capital. No, we're not. No, we're not. But we're a bee-friendly city. Maybe a big bee. Anyway, I'm just curious though. You had 4 spots on there on the original map. Did you have different ideas more on those 4, or just one at a time you kind of want to tackle?
Yeah, as I tried to emphasize, we have some ideas, but these sites need to be evaluated completely as to where city property exists, where we potentially could go in terms of a site. So while there are some indications, but we're not tied to any of those at this point. We need to seriously sit down and say, yes, we're going to do this project, and then whoever city designates, we'll go out and look at it, the best alternative.
Maybe this would be more of a question for Don, but I don't think we're planning on putting a station there at the Kiwanis campground anytime soon, right?
Well, as I said at the beginning,
Yeah.
that was discussion. I
think that got
we had looked at that, but then
Yeah.
we changed our mind on that, yeah.
And that's city-owned property?
Yeah.
Okay, just for clarification. All right, looking forward to some bigger windmills.
Councilor Jessica.
Yeah, just to go a little bit further with those sites. So I drove myself, and those were kind of looked like the ones with the highest potential. So the 2 on the south side of the road, the one is close to the Kiwanis Park, so then that would take care of the water issue. And the visibility is still pretty good, even though it's on the other side of the road. To go on the north side, you do have a very long strip there that would be suitable, but the water might become an issue if you're having planting. So these are the things that would have to come out of some discussion with the city and with parks.
So, and Amanda, where do we go from here? Like, do we, I mean, I like the ideas. I don't know the rest of council. Do you guys like the idea? Do we go from there, or where do we go? What's our next step here?
So the next step would have city staff contact Communities in Bloom.
Yeah.
Have conversations with them, look at the sites that they have brought forward. Also have some discussion as relates to the planters and the flower pots. Bring that information back to council at a council committee, so you can have discussions, because there'll have to be some things that are looked at that would have to be considered, such as costs and all those kinds of things. So city staff can work with Communities in Bloom, gather that information, and bring it back to council for further discussion.
And as you mentioned too, Tom, like, it doesn't have to be all at once either. We can kind of do this over time, but I like all 3 of those, the plans there too. So I think they're all good there. Any other questions on that there too? Okay, you got our tacit endorsement of it then. So thanks for your time, and thanks for everybody else for coming to the meeting here then.
Great. Appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Yeah, okay. To the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Goodenough that the following items of correspondence be received as information updates on council conferences and/or workshops, council committee reports, accounts payable listing, and council committee notes for February 13th of 2024. We'll start with council committee reports, and we'll start with Councillor Woodrup to the left over here.
Okay, thank you. So I'll start with the Parks and Recreation Board. So currently, our recreation user group grants are coming in. They should be all in by the end of February, and we are going to be meeting in March to decide funding allocations. Last year was a big year. There were lots of applicants, lots of fantastic organizations got funded, so we're hoping to see that again. Like it's been mentioned in previous meetings, and the last one that Randy presented about the RUG funding recipients for last year, we did update that matrix and just to more closely reflect the mandate of the rec board, and hoping to again work with that in March. One thing I'd like to highlight that's come to the board a few times now over the last really year, but few months, is the number of opportunities that youth have to participate in programming, particularly at the JBS Canada Centre. So I'd like to highlight the youth nights that our rec center team is putting together. Those are seeing lots of interest, and there's a variety of things for youth to get involved in. And then also, SPEC, as you may remember, last spring asked for the use of the mezzanine so that they can run their youth program there for kids 11 to 17. And we were presented with the success of that program at our last rec board meeting. Lots of it's really popular. Lots of kids are attending, and particularly, it is particularly encouraging to see that age group coming out. So with the youth nights at from the City of Brooks staff is putting on and organizing, and then this SPEC program that those young teenage kids or preteens, like 11, 12 to 15, 16, 17, it's a really positive time to get kids involved in safe spaces and good programming outside their house. So that's a really positive thing that that we're seeing. A couple other things too. The rec board continues to support nonprofit organizations. Gifting passes, like for use at the rec center, things like people have events, and coming to a awesome facility like the JBS Canada Centre or the CRA is a treat for people. So we're very happy to gift as many opportunities out there for people to come enjoy our spaces. And we also continue to donate space for meaningful events. For instance, the Day of the Child that happened, I think it was last month. Was it January? Anyway, the Day of the Child. That was a good event that we're able to support. And one that I am really excited about is the Prairie Rose Hospice came and presented. They're inspired by the Alzheimer's Society of Alberta has a program called Memory Trekkers, where they have people with Alzheimer's and their caregivers, and they come and walk around their track. And so I guess the Prairie Rose Hospice Society is going to run a 6-week program, 1 hour on Saturdays, I think beginning soon. I think mid-end of February, I believe, or maybe in beginning in March. But it's a fantastic thing, that an event for our community. There are many people who have dementia, Alzheimer's in our community, and there's not a lot of spaces for them to get out and enjoy. And so this is a really fantastic thing, and hoping to hear back from Prairie Rose and how that program went. And I think the last bit of information I have for you is our chair stepped down, Keith Lovers, a longtime chair, and Greg Screever is now the chair, and I am the vice chair of the rec board. And if I missed anything, Councillor Nesbitt will fill you in. I think that's all I have for a rec board. Right, wrote it by hand this time. All right, for Newell Housing, our continuing care for small homes capital grant was put in, and we should be hearing hopefully fairly soon on that. It should be
I'm thinking, it might, with the budget coming out, is it Thursday there, or the thing maybe in the next little bit anyway from the provincial government? Maybe we'll hope to hear something on that.
Yeah, so it could be quite imminently.
Yeah.
We did end up requesting just over $5 million, I believe, on behalf of Newell Housing.
Yeah.
The project will be more than $5 million, but that is the amount that we were able to request for that. So keep posted for news on that. Really exciting. The Newell Housing Association is Brooks' first certified living wage employer. So we got the prestigious title of that. So if you need reminding, $19.05 is Brooks's living wage, which is so fantastic for us as a community. Very affordable place to live. We have 83 employees, so that's 83 people who have that awesome quality job. It's such a nice place to work. Every time that we go in to spaces as a board and talk with the employees there, they're fantastic, and it's just it's great that they're paid an awesome wage. Our CEO. Sasha did a little piece on Chat News, actually, and she spoke to just the quality work that the staff does there, and obviously you do quality work when you have a great work environment, and having a living wage does not hurt. So I want to see more of that, and hopefully more organizations, more businesses in Brooks come on and be certified that living wage. So that's a good piece of news. Our vacancy rate continues to be low, and that's positive. No big changes there. And the last bit I think I have for you is the ASHA convention will be March 11th to 13th. Our CAO and our admin assistant, Shanda, I believe, Shanda is going to be going, as well as, I believe, Mayor Petrie is going. Yoko Fujimoto and Amanda Philpott will be going from the board. Sadly, I will not be going this year. I went last year, and it was a fantastic convention, so much to learn, especially housing right now is such a top of mind issue. So I'm sure Mayor Petrie will bring us back some great stuff from that convention. I believe that's all I have for Newell Housing. And then for FCSS, we're going to actually work on strategic planning February 24th, so next week. We have somebody coming in to facilitate that for us. That will be a really fruitful day for us, I'm sure. My last report, I did. I think I spoke to the micro grants now that we're using now. That's been really positive so far, and I don't even think I've got all of the recipients here, but we've granted micro grants for Safe Communities, the Drug Task Force, Grasslands Public Schools, Brooks and District Resilience Committee, and Crossroads Clinic. So really, really positive. Just a great way to get get needed funding out there so that organizations can serve the people here more efficiently instead of wait the full year. And as the word gets out, I'm sure that we'll see more applications. So that's really encouraging to see. And a few other items. The website's going to be updated. So I just checked, I believe, this afternoon. And unless I've put in the address wrong, I don't think that is quite launched yet. So it should be launching pretty soon. It should be a lot more user-friendly. And yeah, looking forward to that. You may have noticed the new logo as well for FCSS. So we're starting to use that more. Some needed updates around the building, incorporating that new logo, and it just looks nice and fresh. We also did have, we have a new chair. Chair of the board is now Tina Preston, and the vice chair is Holly Johnson. And I believe that's it for FCSS. It's been a busy few months, but those are the big takeaways. Any questions?
Yeah, any questions? No questions. I'll move along to Councillor Jessica.
Thank you. So, SAWA, the Southern Alberta Energy from Waste Association, we were working on the MOU with HZI, so they followed up with their initial MOU with additional details. So HZI representatives will be meeting with SAWA board on February 27th to discuss their proposal and to answer questions. The MOU included a per ton cost, which was on the surface unacceptably high, but was found to include capital financing with interest for the project. It's always been known that the SAWA project would have to have some level of financial support, such as grants and industry-free loan funding from upper levels of government to proceed. So that's actually going to be a big day for the project. EcoBrooks held an environmental Christmas wrap workshop in the JBS Centre in conjunction with the city event, which was successful, and this, as was the school environmental art contest. And we had entries from all grades of all schools, and some of their work is on display in the library. If anybody's interested in there, you should have a look at it. Some very nice stuff. Kathleen Shepard gave a presentation behind the scenes with Environment Lethbridge, and they've been very successful promoting environmental health and sustainability in Lethbridge. We will be reassuming responsibility for a second flower bed from the city on the east side of City Hall, and it'll be used as a demonstration plot for beautifying with native plants. And just this last weekend, we held a plant pollination workshop in the JBS Centre on Family Day. It was well attended, even more than anticipated because of the people waiting for space to open up in the pool. So it was 100+ people took it in, which was pretty good for one of these events. And it included displays with microscopes and with flower dissections, and I managed not to cut myself with a scalpel, so everything went well. Communities in Bloom, we had the presentation. Tom mentioned that Brooks and Region CIB will be judged internationally in 2024, and working on collaborating with the city for sprucing up the east entry into town. We're still open to new members with energy and ideas, so if anyone is interested in participating or joining or assisting Communities in Bloom, they're very welcome. We'd be happy to explain what we are and what we do. The Brooks and District Museum, Kiwanis campground occupancy remains high, and which goes a long way towards keeping the museum viable, so currently 21 tenants. They're applying for grants and having some success, and they continue to seek additional funding for the rejuvenation of the Corythosaurus statue. So we've got about a quarter of the 30,000 needed to do that, to go ahead with that. 2024 Fall Fair is planned for September 21st, follow-up from the one that was held last year. And despite one very cold week, the Christmas display was successful, raising almost $4,000. The only blemish was the theft of some of the display lights. Alan Lutz has been instrumental in the displays and is retiring from that task. So we'll be seeking assistance and possibly volunteers to help with lighting for next Christmas. And finally, Old Man River Regional Services Corporation held their annual organizational meeting at the beginning of December. And subdivision activity was down in 2022 and was down again in 2023. So this did result in reduced revenues and a resultant deficit. This was also due to some substantial office and property renovations, and without this expense in 2024, the budget is planned to balance. But there has been a reduction in that type of activity throughout southern Alberta. And that's it.
Okay, any questions? Just a comment of the museum and the Christmas light display. I mean, that's really nice, and hopefully it continues on there. I think it's just kind of a nice amenity for the holiday season there, so hopefully it does continue on.
I have a question.
Okay.
Question.
Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Juska, isn't it a duck-billed platypus? What is that dinosaur called?
Yeah. They do call it duck-billed dinosaur, not
It
a
is a
platypus.
duck-billed dinosaur,
But
right?
it's
Not a
one
platypus.
of a number of that species of that variety, which is, it's actually a Corythosaurus causaris.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, okay, Council Nesbitt, your report.
Mayor, Council, ladies and gentlemen. Since all my recreation report was already given, I will try to add a few items to this. In the aquatic side, they have one shift supervisor vacancy, and school and public lessons are going on, but as we all know, the pool will be shut down here coming up shortly for some work done on the vents. The new recreation foreman started February 5th, as we all know, researching options for vape detectors in the washrooms to deter vaping. The ones we have found are pricey and require network connections, annual software fees, so looking at what other options we can put in there to stop this. Alarm boxes where the fire alarm poles are being installed to help prevent false alarms. There have been 3 alarm poles since November 23rd, which resulted in necessary evacuation and fire department responses. Family Day program throughout the facility was on February 19th. Free access to JBS Canada Centre, with the exception of the fitness center. Activities included family skate, stick and puck, family volleyball, basketball and soccer, pickleball, badminton, swimming, and a flower dissection workshop, which was facilitated by Equal Brooks. On February 6th, the Hooky Day took place at the CRA. Just under 2,000 grade 4 to grade 9 students attended the Bandits game that started at 12 p.m. that day. In 2023, there were 310 public incidents that required documentation and follow-up action from the staff. On the Choose Well Newell Wellness Team report, Winter Walk Day was on February 7th. Community walk was at 12:15 from City Hall. We need a lot more participants next year. As you know, last year there was 5, mostly city staff. This year wasn't much better. Finished up with Find Your Stride program, which is a walking running program for people that want to quit smoking or just quit to get active and learn about services in our community. Joel. Nutrition Month is March. Theme is We Are Dietitians. More information will be coming. I think they meant that for me. Alberta Healthy Communities Symposium will be held on March 6th to 8th in Edmonton. If you want to go, contact the Choose Well organization, I believe. We've placed benchmarking healthy environments on hold as we feel we don't have the buy-in from the policymaker or community to make any changes. We don't want to compile all the benchmarking information, then hit the barrier of not being able to advocate the change. And that's it for Choose Well. Now for the Newell Regional Services. During the fourth quarter of 2022, we achieved a total revenue of $5,124,394. This equates to about 100.9% of our budgeted revenue. All revenue categories are well within the budget and nothing of concern in the year for 2022. Expenditures for the fourth quarter of 2022, we have a total expense of $3,757,738. $3,757,730, and this represents 92.2% of our budget of expenses for that year. Currently, we are over budget for select rural areas, town, villages, due to repairs, but these expenses are not out of the ordinary. We have exceeded our chemical budget by 16.6%, and this is due to a high consumption year and inflationary pressures. We achieved a surplus of $1,366,656, and this equates to 135% of our budgeted surplus for the 2022 calendar year. And on our investments, we began the first quarter of 2022 with an investment account balance of $4,461,920, and we deposited $1.2 million in the first quarter and ended September with a total portfolio balance of $5,313,641. In the fourth quarter of 2022, we deposited $1 million into our CIBC investment account. At the end of November, the last statement we had, the portfolio balance was $6,380,404, which is stupendous. We have new membranes. We're changing out the membranes in our water treatment plant, and they call the PAL membrane, P-A-L-L, was on site at the WTP to conduct their annual plant inspection and optimization. We're also able to procure a single replacement membrane module, which will facilitate our ability to send in the broken module for an autopsy to see how well they are doing. This should give us an idea how close to an end of life these membranes are, because they're $15,000 each, so we should know that. And that is my new report. Now for the Arts and Culture and Heritage Board. We're in dire need of people to join our board. There are currently 2 vacancies on the board, and with one of our members leaving at the end of this month, she's been on a 6-year term, we'll have 3 positions opening for this board. Excuse me. The vacancies have been advertised on Talk of the Town, social media, newspaper ads, and all summer, but there have not been any applicants yet. Suggestions were made to reach out to the directory and utilize word of mouth in the community to encourage applicants. We were asked if the position posting should be tailored to a particular background or skill set. And no, anybody that wants to apply to this, just come on in and apply. You'll be already selected to be joined on the board. It was noted in recent vacancies, it's important to be passing along all log information for social media, emails, calendars, and website accesses. And those are my reports. Any questions?
Okay, no questions? Okay, Councillor Idris, did you have something?
Oh, you got a question?
No, he's good, yeah.
Thank you. I just want you to report on a couple of things I have attended recently. And I'm going to start with my committee with AB Munis. I sit on the Municipal Governance Committee, and we had a meeting on February 9. The Municipal Governance Committee with the AB Munis, one of their main function is the resolution that passes in September at the convention. And we received some updates on those resolutions that we passed in September. And actually, I'm going to just touch on 3 resolutions. One is actually our own resolution, the City of Brooks resolution, which called for legislating and prohibiting the introduction of municipal political parties in municipal elections. So AB Munis engaged with the Minister of Municipal Affairs and received some communication back. Basically, the communication said that the current act goes by name only, doesn't have very clear prohibition and things like that. And basically that we are in consultation with Albertans to see if Albertans want municipal parties in political parties in municipal elections. As we all know, the Albertans have said that they don't want that. There was a number of different surveys, whether done by the province or done by other groups, that suggested that Albertans, the last thing on their mind is adding political parties to municipal elections. Unfortunately, it looks like the government is going towards that. There are some indications that suggest the government is going towards that. I actually heard of an event happening this week around starting a conservative municipal group of some sort somewhere in central Alberta. Alberta Munis is actually taking this as one of, so Alberta Munis take these resolutions and put them in priority levels. And this is actually in their highest priority level categorization, this resolution. And that means that they will put money behind it, they will put efforts behind it and things like that. So actually on Thursday, Alberta municipalities are doing a media availability in Edmonton, inviting a couple different municipal leaders and talking about this and having the media there to tell the media what they know about what Albertans said and things like that. And also develop key messages for municipalities to use when they are talking to their MLAs, when they are talking to the public around this issue. So more to come, basically. That is one. The other one was, there was a resolution, if you remember, in September around including libraries in ICFs. So there was a number of different municipalities. There was a resolution on the floor that wanted to include, to make libraries part of ICFs. As we know, some ICFs now do have libraries as part of it, and some ICFs do not. And the government hasn't taken a very clear stand there, or haven't taken one way or the other there officially. But the letter that, so Alberta municipalities, based on that resolution, engaged with the minister, and the answer they received is that, you know, the libraries are separate entities. They have their own board of directors, board of trustees, and they don't want to make it like just like recreation or these other things that we have as part of ICFs. So basically, it is what it is now, but as we all know, again, ICFs are going to go into a review soon, and we will see what happens there. The last resolution I want to touch based on, if you remember again in September, we talked about capital budgets and building these 10-year capital budgets. Some municipalities wanted ask the province to look into, okay, what was the problem? The problem was that municipalities felt once they do these public 10-year capital budgets, they put numbers there and then they ask for bids. The bids come exactly as the numbers suggest, because now the people know how much money you have, or the people who are actually requesting these know how much money you have in your budget for that project. So there was asking about, you know, can we not have that? Interestingly enough, the answer from the minister said that the act doesn't require you to do that.
So we don't need them in there. Oh.
So there was a big discussion around that. There was a big discussion in the committee around that. So they decided, Alberta municipalities decided that they are just basically going to respond to the minister. Thank you for the information. Can you tell us what will be the best or what the requirements are now in terms of introducing these budgets? Is it a total number? Is it what it is exactly? So, and I know if you wanted to add something, but basically Alberta municipalities decided that they are going to ask what it is, and then they are going to share that with the municipalities that had that concern around this is what we heard from. So they are not going to have more plans to change that, but to just exactly find out exactly what is the requirements. Because as we do now, we do this discussion in public meetings. They are all public. So changing that now, because I don't know exactly what it is mean, it's not required. What does that mean? So these are questions that they are going to ask of the minister. We did have a workshop, full day actually workshop at the meeting, also on you know, the idea of respect, the idea of decorum within municipal governments. And they looked at that from 4 different areas. So intra-council relationships, council to administration relationships, diversity on municipal elected bodies, and public respect for municipal government leaders. And this is part of that project that they started a couple years ago around the future of municipal government and some of the challenges they are seeing around. We have seen a lot of recall legislations, for example, and recall petitions that were attempted. We have seen some of the issues that public officials are facing when they deal with public and social media and things like that. We have seen some issues around code of conduct issues, where even within council, there was some councils that had some issues, and whether, like for example, in Chestermere, when the provincial government needed to interfere, or in other places where it was dealt through with municipal code of conduct level issues. So they are, the workshop was to build tools, to build best practices that will support municipalities to do that. For example, things around, is there an opportunity for orientation for candidates? Is there an opportunity for better onboarding once someone gets on council? Is there possibilities of some, team building or different ways of figuring out relationships within council and within council administration, so that we both are able to do the job that we are elected to do. So there will be, all the workshop was to figure out ideas, to figure out tools, and the Alberta municipalities, hopefully the next meeting when we meet, they will bring that back to us, and then it goes from there to all municipalities to implement. That is my meeting. I also attended, I think myself, the mayor, and Joel Goodenough, Councillor Goodenough, attended what's their names? The law company?
The municipal law,
Trends in municipal law. And it was very interesting. There was a couple of different sessions that I attended that was very, very useful, that maybe we can bring some of those to council here and figure a few things.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Woodrup.
I have a question. When AB Muniz talked to the minister, the municipal affairs minister, about, or I guess when the municipal affairs minister said that they are consulting with Albertans, was there any pushback about who they're consulting with? Because as you alluded to, there's been multiple polls done. The overwhelming majority do not want to see political parties in municipal government. I think our resolution passed by, like, it was 98, something like that %. So municipalities don't want to see it, Albertans don't want to see it. Was there any pushback? Was there pushback to the minister on that note? Like, well, then if all these Albertans are saying no, then who are you actually consulting with?
Normally, after the resolutions pass at the convention, then the first engagement AB Muniz does is a letter with a copy of the resolution to the minister involved with that issue. So that was a letter, and then the letter that came back is the letter that I just told you about. So now the Alberta Muniz is doing this media campaign, is doing these things, that the key messages that they're going to send to all municipalities to use, and also using it because there will be a review of the Local Authorities Election Act coming up. So every venue they can, they will use it. But it wasn't a sit down, it was a letter to the minister and a letter back.
Thank you.
Is the resolution coming up again? Because it passed last time. Are you saying it's coming up again in September then?
No.
No, the same one, no.
So
okay.
this is, once the resolution passes.
Okay, and then it gets a little meat behind it then.
It's 3 years. Yeah. So the resolution is an AB Muniz for 3 years.
Oh, okay.
So
okay, that's what, okay, perfect, okay. Okay, to the motion on the reports, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Nesbitt that March 1st, 2024 be hereby proclaimed as Francophone Day in the City of Brooks, and March 1st to the 31st, 2024 be hereby proclaimed as Francophone Days in the City of Brooks. Amanda.
Through the chair to Mayor Petrie and Council, as Brooks is a diverse community encompassing Francophone citizens, Mayor and Council received a letter requesting that March 1st be proclaimed as Francophone Day, and that the weeks of March 1st through March 31st be proclaimed as Francophone Days in the City of Brooks. On March 1st, students, staff, and community members will be gathering in council chambers at 1 p.m. with a flag ceremony in front of City Hall to follow. Therefore, it is recommended that March 1st be proclaimed as Francophone Day, and further that the weeks of March 1st through March 31st be proclaimed as Francophone Days in the city of Brooks.
Okay, and I believe Councillor Wardrop is going to attend that function because I'm away that day there too. And if you want to just pick up a little bit on your French there too. Yeah. We? Yeah. Okay, to the motion. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Jessica that Nicole Lalonde be appointed to the City of Brooks Environmental Advisory Committee as the City of Brooks Citizen at Large member for a first 3-year term commencing February 21st, 2024 and ending February 20th, 2027. Amy.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mayor and Council. The Environmental Advisory Committee is made up of 12 members, and out of those 12 members, not more than 7 members may be citizen at large members, with a maximum of 2 residing outside of the city but within the boundaries of the county. Nicole Lalonde has applied to serve on the committee. She is a teacher, avid gardener, and forager, and believes she can bring some of her knowledge and enthusiasm for sustainable gardening practices, as well as work towards a net zero waste lifestyle. Nicole has experience organizing and facilitating public programs and presentations, and has previous experience serving on boards and committees, and volunteered for adult basic literacy education in Brooks. Therefore, administration is recommending that Nicole Lalonde be appointed to the City of Brooks Environmental Advisory Committee as a City of Brooks Citizen at Large member for a first 3-year term, commencing February 21st, 2024 and ending February 20th, 2027.
Okay, any questions? Okay, to the motion. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Prentice that Biftu Abdella be reappointed to the Brooks Public Library Board for a second 3-year term commencing November 3rd, 2023 and ending November 2nd, 2026, and further that Zara Zolto be reappointed to the Brooks Library Board for a second 6-month term commencing December 8th, 2023 and ending June 7th, 2024. Amy.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mayor and Council. The Brooks Public Library Board recently had 2 members at large term expired. Biftu Abdallah is seeking reappointment for her second 3-year term, and Sarah Zottel is seeking reappointment for her second term, however, only for a term of 6 months. Therefore, administration is recommending that Biftu Abdallah be reappointed to the Brooks Public Library Board for a second 3-year term, commencing November 3rd, 2023, and ending November 2nd, 2026, and further that Sarah Zottel be reappointed to the Brooks Public Library Board for a second 6-month term commencing December 8th, 2023 and ending June 7th, 2024.
Okay, any questions? Okay, to the motion. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Nesbitt that Council approve the ice installation timeline as outlined, that the Brooks Bandits pay the ice reinstallation, uninstallation, and electrical costs in the amount of $10,280, and that the Brooks Bandits pay for any ice time bookings at the regular rates and fees, and further that additional summer staff of the Brooks Parks Department be considered to ensure the Recreation Department can maintain and operate ice in the CRA later in the season. Randy.
Yeah, through the chair to Mayor and Council. So as we heard earlier in the meeting, the Brooks Bandits are looking to have the ice installed reinstalled in May after the professional bull riding event. I'm not going to go through this whole report again because I think we already went through a lot of it. But the recommendation is that council approve the ice installation timeline as outlined. So that would mean that the ice would be in for May 19th, that the Brooks Bandits pay the ice reinstallation, uninstallation, and electrical costs in the amount of $10,280, and that the Brooks Bandits pay for any additional ice bookings at their regular rates and fees, and that summer staff for the Parks Department be considered to ensure that the Recreation Department can maintain and operate ice in the CRA later in the season.
Okay, I know we discussed, I just need a procedural thing here. There was a motion on the table here. Do we just put this other motion here then too? Okay. And this goes back to what we had talked about before. Moved by Councillor Nesbitt that the Brooks Bandits May June ice request be tabled until additional information is received from the PBR event regarding booking requirements. Okay. All those in favor? Carried. And so what happens with that one there then? Thank you. Okay, moved by Councillor Idris that the financial variance report for February be accepted as information. Shelley?
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council. So the report that's attached finds the city approximately 12% of the way through the 2024 year, and it compares our actual year-to-date costs to the 2024 budget. So of course, most of our variances so far this year are caused by the timing of revenues and expenditures because it's early and some of the expenses haven't happened or initiatives haven't started. So the only notable variance in the attached reports would be the snow and ice removal costs in 2024, which are approximately $28,000 over budget on a prorated basis. This is mostly due to the last significant snowfall, which occurred in the beginning of February, and we're still receiving costs for that. However, obviously depending on the weather for the rest of the year, it's really hard to know if there'll be a permanent variance at the end of 2024. In regards to the capital budget, it's still early in the year and most of our projects have yet to begin or resume. Therefore, there's no variances to report. It is important to know that the budget numbers attached in the report at this point do not include the carry forwards from the 2023 capital budget, and those amounts will be added to the report once they're finalized.
Okay, any questions? Just, sorry, Marissa, or Councillor Ward. No, I was just going to talk about the snow removal budget and just maybe explain the procedure of that, because I think we would have done quite well in the fall without any snow, whatever. So if there's a surplus, it's sort of carried over for what could be potentially a lot of snow in one year, right?
Yeah, through the chair to Mayor Petrie. Yes, so we have what's called a stabilization reserve. So anything any overages in snowfall, we draw from that reserve. And anytime we have a positive variance in our snow removal budget, we will put into the reserve. So it's looking like in 2023, we talked at the beginning of the year, is there's snow. But throughout the year, it was fairly mild. So we anticipate we'll be putting money into the reserve at the end of 2023. So who knows what 2024 will bring it, but that seems to help us stabilize any responding to tax increases, because weather is something that it's really very difficult to budget for.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor Wardrobe. Oh, okay. Good. Okay, Councillor Jessica.
I see Don moved up anticipating my question. No, like sometimes it's pretty obvious that snow clearing is needed, and especially after the big event. But we did have here some snow a week or so ago, and there was equipment out on the main roads trying to windrow it and everything, and there wasn't much windrow there. So tough question, how do you decide when and when not to go out and have the equipment out there or hire the contractors?
With this snowfall, there was quite a lot of snow. In all reality, when we decide that it's time to move snow is when you're sitting at around over 6 inches, and then when we take and go out there and move our main routes. So we take all our collectors and our arterial roads, and we'll do those first, as well as our schools and our hospitals. So, and then our truck routes. So we hit them out every time when they're about 6 inches or more. And then it also depends too on whether that snow is packing nice. If it doesn't pack nice, then it just turns into slush, and then we'll go haul it out. So.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, to the motion on the variance reports. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Councilor Wardrobe that council award the purchase of the police vehicle to Martin Chrysler in the amount of $56,026 and approve the additional funds to complete the vehicle in the amount of $13,765 to be funded from the remaining 2024 budget and the 2023 carry forward. Don.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council, the 2024 budget includes $60,000 for a municipal enforcement vehicle. Staff received pricing from Martin Chrysler, Harwood Ford, and Davis Chev for the police vehicle. The pricing for the police vehicle with decals, lights, sirens, etc., and labor is as follows. The Dodge is $56,026 for just the vehicle. With the addition of all the decals and lights and sirens, it's $73,765. Ford, the vehicle alone was $58,285, but with all the decals and lights, it's $77,746. And the Chev, the vehicle alone is $55,482, and the total cost for it was $74,704. So all the units are over budget. The Dodge is the least over by $17,765, as it is the least expensive for the purchase and installation of the additional equipment. There is $14,000 remaining in the 2024 vehicle replacement budget, including the 2023 carry forward. The overage would be funded from the remaining 2024 budget and the 2023 carry forward. The Dodge is an SUV. This vehicle will remain in the bylaw department for the life of the vehicle instead of moving into the parks department. This is the preferred vehicle by the bylaw department due to maneuverability, fuel costs, and overall practicable for the department's use. So therefore, staff is recommending council award the purchase of the police vehicle to Martin Chrysler in the amount of $56,026 and approve the additional funds to complete the vehicle in the amount of $13,765 to be funded from the remaining 2024 budget and 2023 carry forward.
Councilor Wardrobe.
Because this is for like our peace officers, right? Is there a reason why a car wasn't considered in any of these vehicle purchases? Like if an SUV would suffice, is there a reason why there's only? Did you just look at trucks and SUVs?
Yeah, I don't think they make a police car anymore.
Sorry?
I don't think they make a police car anymore.
Oh, they just don't.
Yeah, these are actually, these trucks or these SUVs are fitted already for it to be a police vehicle.
Oh.
So the lights and sirens and they all just plug in.
Oh, okay.
So they're not like an ordinary vehicle where then you got to rewire that ordinary vehicle to make the lights work, as well as the divider they have behind the front seat can be bolted to those side bars that are behind your passenger and driver's door. So there's no airbags in there, so they can be bolted in there. So they're a specialty unit.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just curious on the lifespan. What would be the lifespan of the vehicle?
I think with one of these, you'd probably get 15 to 20 years out of it.
Oh, really? Oh, that's good. Yeah. Perfect. Councilor Idris.
So is this going to be the first SUV, like, or because we have trucks right now?
That's correct.
Okay. And then does this change, like I remember that plan that we did, like it moves, does this make that void, like for this specific car?
No, if it was a pickup truck, it would, we were moving them through the bylaw department, which is now peace officers. They're not just typical bylaw trucks anymore. They're like I say, they're a specialty unit that they buy. So we would move them through every 7 years, and then it would move into the Parks Department. However, this one will not, so it'll stay in that department as a police unit for the life of that vehicle.
So what I mean that then in 7 years, are you going to need a truck for the other department that you are not going to get from here?
In 7 years, we'll have another truck coming from the bylaw enforcement department, because they have 3. So it'll take about 18 years before you're gonna not see a truck come from there.
Okay.
And my recommendation is going to be in the next 10-year capital plan to remove these specialty vehicles out of the ordinary fleet plan, and just like we did with the fire truck, with the police or fire trucks, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Don. Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Wardrop that bylaw number 2403 be read a second time, and this is from the public hearing earlier there, so we'll open it up for discussion on this one here then. So, do you want to start there, or I'll start with Councillor Idris then.
Okay, so thinking about this bylaw, I understand we are in a situation where we are trying to increase the inventory of housing we have in our community, and this is, my understanding, is going to increase more than 1 unit when we make it when we change the bylaw, and that is really something good. But I'm worried that what does that look like when we look at our area structure plan, the northwest, and what come out of that? Just changing this one specific lot, make the area a little bit look different, or is there a possibility within those row of houses to decide maybe one end will be multi-units and then what, like, rather than having this one unit? So my question, and I don't know if we will be able to get some answers here, is was there some discussion with the applicant around the plans? Was there some negotiation around, maybe this other place will be better than this place, and is there a possibility to actually even see the plan before we go further and approve this?
Go ahead, Natasha. Or Gavin,
I just want to make sure
Gavin?
that he's not there and wants to comment.
I don't know. Can you hear me? I don't think you can hear me.
You
Nothing?
didn't hear us,
No.
Gavin?
I can hear you.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, go ahead, Natasha, then, yeah.
Through the chair to Councillor Idris. In Gavin's report, that is why he had mentioned that the decision on the proposed rezoning should be evaluated based on the suitability of the land. So I understand where your question is coming from. A policy for mixture of housing needs, it should be measured, again, what he said in his report, should be measured against the reality of an area that has this far been single-family dwelling. This is not something that was discussed with the applicant of the permit. Of course, we don't want to say, hey, can you go over here, or can you develop here? We try to promote, because we try to promote the housing that is coming forward, because we do need the housing. As you know, we're all in the housing crisis. There are different ways to get around putting up a residential or a single family detached next to a multi-family unit. You could look at different architectural features, and what I mean by that is you could simply put on conditions that it match the neighborhood. You could look at things such as the landscaping that could also be just to make it more of a community feel, right? Where you're not having one house, one duplex, one house, one duplex. I hope I answered your question.
So based on that, I was thinking, and I don't know if what comes first, can we see the plans before we say yes, or can we, I don't know what comes first.
Yeah, and
Or is this actually even our role, or it's the
Yeah, good
Municipal Planning
question.
Commission's role? Or?
Yeah. Go ahead, Natasha, answer that there.
Through the chair to Councillor Idris, this is part of the role that ORSC plays. They look into all of these factors prior to providing a recommendation. These were considered. The Old Man River Regional Services Commission.
Okay, Councillor Wardrop and then Jessica, yeah.
So, if we were to put conditions like you suggested,
No,
that,
Gavin's.
I'm getting the nod.
no, we can't do that anyway? Okay.
So, I think the concern was, I think the area where the house was going to be, just a fourplex, right? Or do we know, like, if we change the bylaw here, it could allow a house up to be a fourplex, right? Or what's the procedure on this, or what are we doing here?
Through the chair to Mayor Petrie, I would suggest that we possibly bring it to council committee, the plans that were proposed for 77 Upland Boulevard West, so that I guess everybody can have an understanding of what it would all look like when it comes together.
Yeah, I think that would probably be the best course there to do
Then
that.
everyone could get a visual as well as ask any questions that may have been missed or that Gavin may not have been able to cover today.
Yeah, okay, Councillor Wardrop and then, yeah.
This is real quick, just for information. Which of those lots on Upland Boulevard are currently developed or in development right now? Just, do you know off the top of your head?
Through the chair to Councillor Wardrop, I do not know off the top of my head, but I can definitely get you that information.
Okay, Councillor Jessica, you had a question?
Yes, thank you. So this, especially going to fourplex, this be a pretty substantial change from what was intended for that area. And I know there is a process which may just consist of putting out a public notice, but do we know whether the adjacent landowners were aware of this change?
Through the chair to Councillor Jessica, as part of the application that Gavin, again, has presented today, advertising has been done to all of the surrounding neighbors and given them a chance to respond as well.
Yeah, the public hearing, there was nobody for or against it, so, yeah.
Yeah, I guess my question is, we advertise it, but that doesn't mean they're necessarily aware of it.
Well, exactly, yeah. So, do we want to just, would we be right to table, go ahead, Councillor
I'll make a
Idris.
motion to table this and bring it back to council committee.
Okay, moved by Councillor Idris that bylaw 2403 be deferred to council committee for further discussion. All those in favor? Carried, okay. This is, okay. I think that's okay. Okay, thanks, Natasha. Yeah, okay. Moved by Councillor Prentice that bylaw number 2401 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta, being a bylaw to regulate highway traffic, be introduced and read first time. Just because it's the first time, we can't debate it, so do we have to, okay, go ahead there, Amy.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mayor and Council. Administration recently updated the city's traffic bylaw to include past amendments, which are highlighted in green, and proposed additions, which are highlighted in yellow. All proposed additions are in provincial legislation, but it's being proposed to add them to the traffic bylaw as well. These include prohibiting the display, offering for sale, or selling any goods on a highway, such as parking a vehicle with a for sale sign on a highway, operating or parking a vehicle on a highway without a license plate, and requiring vehicles to park within parking guidelines when they are visible. Parking on lawns was also discussed during a past council committee meeting, and it was recommended to prohibit parking vehicles on anything other than an approved surface, such as concrete, asphalt, or gravel, and a subsection has been added to the bylaw to do so. Therefore, administration is recommending that bylaw 2401 receive 3 readings and be adopted.
Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. And now moved by Councillor Nesbitt that bylaw number 2401 be read a second time. Any discussion on the bylaw there? We did go over this in council committee. Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Jessica that bylaw number 2401 be given 3 readings at this meeting. Has to be carried unanimously. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Idris that bylaw number 2401 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta, being a bylaw to regulate highway traffic, be read a 3rd time and adopted. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Wardrop that bylaw number 2409 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta, being a bylaw to authorize a loan to a nonprofit organization for interim financing purposes, be introduced and read a 1st time. Shelley.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mayor and Council. So Newell Integrated Child Care Society, I'll refer to them as NICCS, attended the council committee meeting on February 13th, 2024, to request a loan from the City of Brooks for the purposes of alleviating the monthly cash flow issues that they're currently experiencing. So as of recently, the federal provincial child care agreement provides substantial child care subsidies to Brooks residents to encourage economic employment and assist working families with the cost of child care. The subsidies are passed on to the child care establishments in due course by the province of Alberta. The timing of receiving the payments from the province has created a monthly cash flow deficit for NICCS, and that they are planning to eliminate. However, in the interim, need some financial relief to meet their current obligations. So Section 265 of the Municipal Government Act enacts that a municipality may lend money to a nonprofit organization if the loan is authorized by bylaw and that the bylaw must be advertised. Section 606 sets out the requirements of the advertising, specifying that when required, a proposed bylaw may be advertised for 2 consecutive weeks prior to its 2nd reading. So attached is bylaw 2409, which authorizes a loan to NICCS for interim financing purposes in the amount of $30,000. The bylaw states that the loan will not bear any interest and the full amount will be due by December 31st, 2024. This loan will enable NICCS to bridge the gap between incurring expenses and receiving funding from the province. Although this gap is likely to occur on a monthly basis, the due date of December 31st, 2024 will allow them the time to gradually improve their cash flow situation moving forward. Although only 1 full payment is required in the bylaw, NICCS may pay off the loan prior to the due date at their convenience. So the recommendation is that bylaw 2409 be given 1st reading, and once that's done, we can do the appropriate advertising.
Okay. Okay, to the motion then. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you, Shelley. Okay, from the media there, Sandra.
Good afternoon. I just have a couple of questions, please. The first one, it has to do with recreation. Once upon a time, late last fall, the public was told that perhaps there will be time to do some public input for skateboard park. When is that happening, please?
Go ahead, Don. Yeah.
That's already happened, Sandra. We had an open house at the rec center.
Thank you so much. And when was that?
It was advertised in the bulletin, and I believe on the radio there too.
I work alone. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, and it was at the JBS Canada Center there too. Yeah.
They did talk about maybe even going and putting some more out on social media to try to get more input, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Question number one. Question number two has to do with the pool shutdown. Why is it shutting down? When is it shutting down? For how long is it shutting down, please?
I'll let Randy answer that.
You bet. So it's shutting down because there were some changes to the pool operating standards provincially. So we're just doing some upgrades, basically replacing some outdated components in the pool, which requires the pools to be drained in order for those components. It's the grates at the bottom of the pool to be replaced. So it will shut down, will start as of next Monday, so February 26th, and it'll be 2 weeks maximum. That's worst case scenario, so it'll be a 2-week shutdown.
And what is the cost for this project, please?
It's approximately $12,000.
And was this budgeted?
It will be absorbed out of operating, so it was an unanticipated cost. Just as sometimes when we have equipment failure or breakdowns, sometimes those are unanticipated as well. So, but we will be able to absorb that within the operating budget.
Okay, so can you please tell me why, this has to do with Alberta Health Services, correct? But can you tell me why this isn't waiting until your annual pool shutdown?
Yeah, because it is a safety concern, so they've basically given us a deadline to get it done, and so we are not able to wait until the shutdown.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Mayor, was this an issue that was discussed in camera, and is there a budget number attached to it that needed to be voted on by council, or does this just come out of operations?
It just comes out of operation, yeah.
But it hasn't been discussed at all in council, has it?
We discussed it at council committee. In closed session, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my question.
Yeah.
Why was this discussed in closed session, please?
I don't know, why did we want it in closed session there? Maybe Amanda can help me on that one.
This was done in closed session due to the nature of safety, which of course is something that is according to the FOIP Act. So it was done to advise council of the safety concerns and to have conversation with them regarding the shutdown dates.
Thank you.
Okay, any more? Okay, good, thank you. Okay, thanks, Randy. Okay, moved by Council Goodenough that council close the meeting to the public for agenda item 12A, proposed project as per section 24.1G, FOIP 12B, request for service as per section 24.1G, FOIP 12C, and land matter as per section 16 FOIP, and 12D personnel 2 as per section 17 FOIP at 6:41 p.m. All those in favor? Carried.